Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ball Down South. This week, we're doing week zero predictions and more. So, we're going to talk a little bit about each matchup we think and which ones we like, who we're going to go with. We're going to go ahead and start with John. No, you know what? I think Brad wants to start off this time. Brad, who you got? We're going to go first game. We're going to talk about Northwestern versus Nebraska.
Oh, this game, I mean, it's actually being played in Dublin, Ireland. It's a Saturday game this week, and considered, I think Nebraska's considered the home team, but they're really both going well away from home to play this game. It's a big game for both teams. It's I think each team is hoping for a bowl game at the end of the year. And this first game for them is going to be a big game for each one. Nebraska's given some points. I think, they're the ones that's got a little bigger advantage on the point spread. And I'm going to go with Nebraska. I think Nebraska is going to show a little bit more. They've tried to have bring in a whole bunch of players this year and new offensive coordinator. So I'm going to go with Nebraska to win this one.
Early in the season, you're taking Nebraska.
I am on this one.
I don't know. Neutral site. Neutral site kind of scary. If it was at Nebraska, I'd be with you, but neutral site just kind of shakes it up a little bit. John, what do you think?
I think I'm going to go with Nebraska as well. I think, Scott Frost, he's playing for his job pretty much. And I think that he's going to need to, win this game. And especially, with the schedule coming up, they got a couple easy games after Northwestern before they play Oklahoma. So I think I'm going to go with Nebraska. Northwestern, they need to improve on the year that they had last year. They didn't have a really good record. So at the end of the day, I'm going to pick Nebraska, and Scott Frost is going to get off the mat, and he's going to have some luck in these first couple of weeks because the schedule fits out great for him. But the Oklahoma game that's the big one. I think if he can maybe do a little upset there, I think he'll keep his job. But either way, he's going to be playing for his job come Saturday.
Didn't you go on record and say college football is better when Nebraska's good? Didn't you say that?
I did say that.
It's
I did
right.
say that. It's better when they're winning.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, you never know what's going to happen neutral site. Playing football in Dublin is kind of crazy. Is there any weird stats you got on Dublin football that's American football and not some kind of soccer stuff, Brad? Anything at all?
No, to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised that over there it's more about football than soccer, than it is American football. So I don't know how that game got over there, to be honest with you.
It's all about that TV money.
It's a little surprised to see that it was in Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah. Well, you never know what's going to happen. You get foreign land, foreign things happen. So I do think
might be a few pubs over there somebody might want to visit.
Yeah, college kids is going to be a heck of a time. I'll tell you that. It's one heck of a per diem to blow. But all right, so John, you got Nebraska. Brad, you got them too.
Yes, sir.
I think I gotta stick with Northwestern on this one just to kind of even it out a little bit. But this is early in the season. I think anything can happen. Anything can happen, especially first game. You're not even in the same country. Your quarterback could not sleep good on this one because of the time change. And who knows? I'm gonna stick with Northwestern on that. All right, everybody good on that? Let's talk about
yeah.
what's up. Go ahead.
No, I said, oh yeah, I'm good with it.
Oh yeah, you're done talking about Northwestern.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Wyoming and Illinois.
Well, so Illinois is a 10.5-point favorite in this game. Brett Bielema, this is his second year, I believe, at Illinois. He coached at Arkansas, and so he's got a little bit of history of being kind of a bruiser. His teams do. They've they played defense really well last year. They just couldn't score touchdowns enough to win enough games. They went 5-7, and Wyoming is the Cowboys, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know that. It is at Illinois, and for that reason, I mean, alone being a Big Ten team, I've got to give the edge being at home to Illinois in this game.
Yeah. I mean, Big Ten versus small schools just usually doesn't work out well for a small school. But what do you think, John?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Illinois. This is the first ever meeting between these two teams. And at the same time, Wyoming lost their quarterback last year for this year. They're running back, 3 offensive linemen. So they're in a rebuild, I think. And it's just, going into Big Ten country, I just don't see them hanging with them. It might be close for a half, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think Illinois will wear them down in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Just because of who their coach is and how he likes to be physical up front.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the line at home.
Yeah. Well, there's a big difference in the beef that's in Wyoming and the beef that's in Illinois right now. I'll tell you that. So I'm not talking about the taste of beef. I'm talking about the lineman beef, and it's going to be ground and pound central right there. So they're going to run the ball, aren't they? We'll see how they stop it.
That's their plan.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no weird stuff, nothing weird, Brad. You ain't got no weird stats.
No weird stats.
No weird stats tonight.
Never played each other before, so
Yeah, I think it's cool they've never met before. So I wonder how many teams in the NCAA Wyoming's actually undefeated against. They got an opportunity to be undefeated against a Big Ten team. There's probably not many.
They could bring it home on Saturday.
Yeah, playing for some national recognition. Undefeated. Where is it again? Is it in Champaign?
Yeah, it is.
To go in there, and if you're that small of a school, if you're Wyoming, to go in, that's like the game of your life,
It is.
Okay, well, I tell you what. Talk to me about Vandy in Hawaii.
Well, Vandy in Hawaii. So Vandy's flying all the way out to Hawaii to start the season out.
Yeah.
They're going for an away game, and you never know when you get to Hawaii. I mean, you might want to enjoy the beach a little bit, or there's got to be something there that's going to be fun. So you never know when you go to Hawaii. But Clark Lee's taking his bunch out there, and he's hoping to get Mike White going to start the season with. This is a game. When you look at Vandy's schedule, if they're going to have anything at all, this is a game that they have to win. They play in the SEC and play a very tough schedule for them. So, this is starting the season off. This is one of their big games. They do play Wake Forest at home in a couple of games after this. So they have a couple of big games to start with. So Hawaii has a first-year coach. His name is Timmy Chang. He's one of their former QBs, and he played at Hawaii. I think he graduated in 2004, and when he graduated, he was actually the NCAA passing yardage leader.
Yeah, but then you know what happened? That monster of a kid, Colt Brennan, came along and just absolutely destroyed that record.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't hold the record anymore. No,
Yeah, he
but
was there for like a half a second.
Yeah, at the time when he was the NCAA leader in yardage.
Yeah.
So he's back with them this year. He's a first-year coach. My guess is that he's going to be offensive minded since he's a quarterback. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Vandy is actually favored in this game, and you're not gonna hear that too many times this season. I don't believe with Vandy being favored. They're giving somewhere between 7 and 8 points, and they're favored in this game. So, I'm going to have to, do I think there's a chance that Vandy could go out there and give a stinker of a game and lose this? I do. I think there is a chance. I'm actually pulling for and hoping that Vandy doesn't do that with this. And so I'm going to give it to Vandy, but, it could go either way. But I'm going to pick Vandy in this.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've probably watched 3 Hawaii games my entire life. I've been able to stay up that late into the night and watch them because they start at what, like 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. Central.
Yeah, I think this game's like, isn't it like 10:30 at night or something? It
And it's-
starts.
It's 10:30.
They start late as could possibly be, and every time you watch them, it ends up being like 4 a.m. before it's over. And I mean it, but like I've never watched much of Vandy either. So this
Hey.
is a land of the unknown for me.
Hey, June Jones has had some good offensive teams out there, though.
Colt Brennan, yes, he's had
Yeah.
had the offensive team, but I mean I'm
He's,
staying awake to watch him.
he really does. They're known for offense, so
Yeah,
it should be a fun game to watch.
yeah. But what do you think, John?
I think Hawaii is just going to lose this game. I just don't see, I'll just be honest with you. Hawaii's in a rebuild. Their defense was really bad last year. Timmy Chang's coming in his first season, and they're 1-4 against the SEC. So, and that's about to be 1-5. I just don't think, Hawaii is going to be able to beat Vanderbilt. Now they'll throw the ball around because that's what they're used to doing.
Yeah,
Hawaii, Timmy Chang, the way he run offense, he'll do that with this Hawaii team. But at the end of the day, I just look at the Vandy defense, and the Vandy defense ain't bad. The Vandy defense is decent. But at the end of the day, I just don't think that they'll be able to withstand what Vandy does. And, I look at this, and as a Vandy fan, you got to be happy. You're the headliner of this whole college football week.
yeah,
You got to be a happy Vanderbilt fan because you don't get that recognition very often.
yeah.
And
All
you're
eyes are
saying, well,
Nashville.
everything, all eyes are on us this week,
Right.
and to them, that's a big deal because they haven't been able to have that recently. And I think, they'll come back home and they'll be 1-0. And as Brad said, the schedule gets rougher as that goes on.
Yeah.
And this is a game that they need to win.
Okay.
So I got Vandy, I guess 24-10. I just don't think it's going to be a real high scoring game. I think it'll be close for a little while.
Oh, you're putting a score in it too? Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm putting a score on it.
I love that you're putting a score in it. That's all right off the rip. Just gonna go ahead and throw some numbers out there. Let's go back. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to today. I jumped ahead a little bit, but let's talk about Saban's new contract and like all those numbers and stuff and what that means. Are we getting ready to get into a bidding war for coaches and whatnot? Because
Well-
did he sign 8 years? What is it? Is it 8 million for 8 years? I didn't see.
No, so his contract that he signed was 8 years, but it's 94 million.
Okay.
Makes him the highest paid coach per season. Jimbo Fisher had taken that over a couple of years ago, got the big 100 million 10-year contract or whatever.
Yeah.
And so what I find is interesting is that for the last 3 years, I mean, everybody under the sun has, predicted that Saban would retire. Saban's 70 years old. That's how old he is right now. He's 70 years old.
Yeah.
And he just signed a contract that will put him out till he's at least 78 years old.
Well, he's
I
the
mean-
modern day Joe Paterno is who he is. He's gonna go for
Yeah.
he's gonna break the win total.
Well, so I think this is either his 16th or 17th year at Alabama. So if he goes another 8 years, I mean, that'll be 24, 25 years if he can go another 8 years. But
Yeah.
what I find interesting is his age, and even people like Paul Feinbaum. I can remember 2 years ago when they won the title, the night the morning after they won the title, Paul Feinbaum come on there and speculated that Saban might retire.
Yeah, I
I'll
remember.
never
that.
forget that. And then everybody called this show and told him, you know, just how dumb he was, basically.
Yeah.
And you know, and then he changed his tune. But you know, he's been speculated to retire for a long time. So, you know, you're talking about there already kind of has been a coaching war as far as who's the highest paid coach
Yeah,
over the
for
last
sure.
2 or 3 years. And I think that Alabama and Saban just said checkmate.
Right. Well, you know, like I was saying, he could get up there in the wins total. I haven't looked at his wins total in a long time, but I know Joe Paterno had a lot taken from him a couple of years back. And so if he goes another 8, 10 years, he's gonna be knocking on that door, if not beating the door down to take the win total away. So I'm thinking, is that not his new mission? Because everybody says, what's his new mission? He's won already. Well, if his mission's to be top of that list, he ain't too far away if he's got another 85 wins in his
I
pocket.
think he's at like 140 or 150 or something like that wins at Alabama in 16 years.
Well, he's
Mhm.
coached, you know, a lot of people know him from Alabama, but he coached Alabama, he coached LSU, he coached Michigan State, you
Yep.
know? So there's more than just the Alabama. And yeah, you're right. He would beat Alabama for 21 years, but you know, you're talking about a guy who Joe Paterno had one school. This guy's had success every single place he's been.
Come on, how many more titles is he going to have in another 8 years as well?
Probably like 7 or 6.
I mean, he's what, got 7 titles now? Is that right?
John, how many's he got?
Mm,
It's either 7 or 8 because
I
he
think
either has 6 at Alabama and 1 at LSU, or 7 at Alabama.
Well, let's count
and 1
him.
at
Real
LSU.
quick. Count him. He went in, when did he go? He went in 08, right? 08, 09. He went in 10, 11, right? He definitely went in 12. He didn't, he
Yep.
missed 13. He went 14, 15. There's 6. 17.
And 20.
Oh, he missed 14, 15. He went 17. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Successful.
I'm just saying, in another 8 years, if he has another 4 or 5 titles, why, you know,
Yeah. Well, he was one away from the Bear, you know,
right?
last year. So another 4 or 5 titles, there ain't ever gonna be somebody that's gonna catch him.
It's
Yeah.
going to be a long, long time. Somebody's going to have an awfully good career to catch.
and
this.
I looked at the numbers. Now listen to these numbers. He's been in 6 of the last 7 national championships.
Yep.
And Alabama hasn't lost more than 2 games in a season since 2010. Ain't
Right.
that correct? Ain't that wild?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well,
That's absolutely wild.
Yeah. No,
I
that's
think
success.
David's only lost 21 games or 24 games or something at Alabama.
And I had this conversation with a guy the other day, and I asked him, I said, what's it feel like to lose at Alabama? He was like, well, we don't necessarily lose. He said, but when we lose, he's like, everybody wants to fall off a cliff. And he said, and at the end of the day, we're still winning. And I don't understand that. Like, you know, I would have loved to be a football school that won them championships and wins every game, and you don't really get upset over a game, and you sit back and think, hey, well, we'll just whip this team this week. You know what I mean? It's a completely different mindset than when you're trying to bring a team like Stoops has off the mat.
They don't have that mindset. That's why. They don't have a we're gonna whip this team this week mindset.
I'll give you an inside view real quick. So I was living in Alabama the night that Clemson just beat the doors off of Alabama in the championship game, whatever year that was, like 17 or 18, something like that.
Mhm.
I was living in Alabama, and I'm going to tell you right now, I know some Alabama fans that was ready to jump off a bridge.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. Like, they were livid.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like the fans, they expect to whip people every week. I'm not saying the coaches and players do, but the fans expect to beat guys,
Yeah, for sure.
each and every week. Now the players' mindset and the coaches' mindset is completely different. But as a fan, you just sit back and say, "Hey, we're expected to win every single week." And as a fan, that would be a lot of fun knowing that you're favored every single week. But and somebody said, "Well, wouldn't that get old?" No, winning never gets old.
You ever tried losing?
I've done plenty of losing in my time as
Yeah,
a
you get
Kentucky
tired of winning,
fan.
let me know. We can try losing. I'll
Yeah,
take winning. Hey, no, seriously, Brad, you was down there. Let us know what was the worst loss they ever suffered when you were down there. Were you there for the kick six in the Auburn game?
Um, no, I wasn't there. I moved in about a year after that, I believe.
Tell you, I've never yelled
But
at my TV so loud in my life.
yeah, I wasn't down there for that one. I moved in. I think that game was like 14 or 15, and I moved in at the end of 15.
Okay.
it might have been 13. I don't know. It might have been 13. It was 13, yeah. Because Auburn went to the championship and played Florida State.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now the worst loss, as far as that I can remember, is by far that Clemson game in the title. Like I can't remember exactly, but they got beat pretty bad, like 3 or 4 touchdowns.
All right. Well, let's stop with Saban and let's go ahead and move on to a little bit of Kentucky talk. It arose this summer that there was a little bit of back and forth or a little bit of dogging between Cal and Stoops. Whose side are you taking, John?
I'm taking the university side.
Oh
as
yeah.
much as I want to, take up for Stoops and take up for Cal, I mean, this is a university type deal. Like it should have never been done. Cal should have used his words better. I think he should have put,
Hold on, Brad. Brad, tell us the story a little bit because people out there might not know what we're talking about. Even tell us what happened.
Okay. All right. So over in the beginning of August, the basketball team was in the Bahamas doing a tournament. And when they were doing the tournament, of course, the media and stuff was there. And they happened to ask John Calipari a question. And he answered it by saying that Kentucky was a basketball school. But it wasn't just that. He also put in that same statement that talked about how some of Kentucky football's opponents are kind of like Kentucky is in basketball. And then he said, well, the Kentucky football team will do enough winning and have a good season, blah, blah, blah. So Calipari put his foot in his mouth. But what was really funny to me, this happened in the Bahamas. 12 minutes after Calipari made the statement, Mark Stoops made a tweet. 12 minutes. That's how long it took. And Mark Stoops don't ever tweet like that. And then when the fans started,
what did the tweet say? No, back up. What did the tweet say? What did it say? Did he come at him?
Gosh, you're going to put me on the spot. And I can't remember what it said now. But he come back saying basically that we are a football school, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
And come back 12 minutes. He come back and responded to Calipari. But I want to get into this. So the two coaches squabbled back and forth. They wound up saying, well, we support each other, blah, blah, blah. My biggest issue was the next Saturday, Mitch Barnhart, who is the athletic director, come on there and basically had a press conference about the squabble.
Yeah.
And John was saying he was on the university side. Well, it depends on how you look at the university side. If you look at the university side, that the AD come on there and had to have a press conference about it, basically, I think that was the black eye.
Yeah.
My opinion, out of all of it, Mitch Barnhart having a press conference about it was the black eye.
Okay.
what I mean from an athletic standpoint is every single program in the sports programs. You should be supporting one another and not dragging people down. And I feel like that's what happened in this case. And, I wouldn't involve the football program because now, you might give the team a chip on their shoulder to want to play better, to want to show out this season. And another thing, when you say things like that, you can negatively recruit against Kentucky in football.
Yeah, it don't look
You know,
good, does it?
it can cause other teams to recruit negatively, and maybe a player wants to go to Kentucky and he said, well, that's a basketball school. Well, that said player might want to say, well, I don't want to go there if it ain't a football school.
Yeah, the
It
basketball
just
coach don't even think it's a football
it
school.
just makes it look like a black eye. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't want to bring this up, but Stoops has been really adamant about it, is the whole NIL deal, and that don't help none with Barnhart.
Yeah.
And the fans are on him about that as well. So Stoops has been heated this summer. Let's just say
Yeah.
and he has a right. I mean, look what he's done. He brought Kentucky, put them on the map. Like they was literally at the lowest of the lows, and he's brought them what 3 straight postseason wins, 2 Citrus Bowls, and at the end of the day, Stoops is. I mean, you can look at his record and you can put a daggone statue out front because that's what he's done to UK football. And
Well, currently,
he's our Bear Bryant in a way.
Realize Bear Bryant
there's
coached
only
at
two
Kentucky.
teams. There's only two teams in the country that has 4 wins, straight wins in a bowl.
You realize Bear Bryant coached at
Alabama,
Kentucky,
that's
right?
Alabama and Kentucky.
You know that, right, John?
Do what now?
You know Bear Bryant coached at Kentucky, right?
I did. And he's and Stoops is going to be breaking his record here pretty soon.
I don't know about that.
For most wins.
I don't know about that. Maybe at Kentucky.
Yeah, that's his record at Kentucky.
Yeah, his record at Kentucky, he'll break it this year with he has to have like what 2 or something.
Let's move off the Cats. All right. Let's talk about UTEP at North Texas. Is this one going to be a sleeper, or is this going to be something to get excited about?
All right, so this game is actually probably could be one of the most competitive games of the ones we're doing today.
Right.
North Texas had finished out and closed out the year really good last year. They had 5 straight wins to close out 2021. They have some people coming back, and UTEP, who's at home, they have a strong line coming back, and they have their quarterback coming back, and they have a pretty strong rushing attack to come back as well. And so in that win total last year, the 5 straight wins, these two teams played each other. And North Texas won this game last year 20-17. So the last time they played was at the end of the year last year, and North Texas won 20-17. So, it's a home game for UTEP, and I do believe that they are favored just a little, but it's probably because they're at home. This is kind of a toss-up, and I'm not real sure which side to go on with it. I think it's possible that North Texas wins this game again. I'm going to pick North Texas, I think, in this game.
Yeah. John?
I believe that I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go UTEP. I just think, they got 7 starters back on offense. They got 8 on defense. They got a good quarterback in Gavin Hardison. It's a home game, and UTEP is really building down there, and they're doing really good the last couple of years. And I just think, UTEP is going to have the advantage at home, and I think it'll be a close game. I think I'm going to go UTEP 24-17.
Putting numbers in it again. Okay.
It will be a close game, or it should be a close game. It usually is between them two.
Yeah. Like to fight out a little bit. All right. Well, talk to me about Duquesne at FSU.
So Duquesne is not an FBS school, first of all. They did have a good year last year for them. They lost their quarterback early in the season to injury and had to go to a backup. And they're after having to go to a backup, they still went 7-3 last year for the season. So I mean that tells you a lot about what kind of year they had. Their coach, he's been there for a long time. I believe I've seen where he's been there 18 years. So and he's put together a decent little program. But like I said, they are FCS. They're not an FBS school.
You know, Appalachian State beat Michigan a long time ago.
Yeah,
Florida State's not in the best spot right now, so
well, I mean, that's what I'm gonna say. So Florida State there's not too many schools. John was just talking about the climb that Kentucky's done. There's not too many schools that have fell as fast or as hard as Florida State University, to be quite honest with you, over the last 3 or 4 years. They've had trouble with coaches. They've hired 2 or 3 different ones. Mike Norville's there now, but he missed the mark last year. He's trying to bring in a whole bunch of transfers, and trying to right this ship. And to be quite honest with you, this is a game that he just simply cannot lose. It's a home game at Florida State to an FCS school. I know that Duquesne, has a decent team for the level that they play at, but they should not be able to come to Florida State Seminoles and win at their house. So, with all that said, I have to pick Florida State to win this game.
All I'm going to say is the big house fell. Appalachian State's the one that knocked it down a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, it was, what they do, they sent somebody off the edge on field goal block last second, took it to the house. Was that what it was? I was young.
Yeah,
it
was
ninth grade, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was probably 20 years ago now, or close to it.
Oh shit, I ain't that old.
I bet it's been a while.
Yeah, it's App State, Michigan.
Yeah, that game was a while ago.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
John, what do you think about him?
I got FSU, unless they pull a stinker like they did, what was it, last year before, where they lost to Jacksonville State on a last second Hail Mary pass. I mean, so you can't overestimate a team and you can't underestimate a team. So at the end of the day, though, you shouldn't, like Brad said, you shouldn't lose a game to a FCS school. It just should not be happening at a place like Florida State. So I'm going to take Florida State 35-3. I just don't, I don't see Duquesne scoring many points in this game. I just, with the defense that Florida State's going to have, they're going to be a little bit better this year. So you shouldn't win this game. You should win this game. My apologies. You should win this game if you're an FSU fan.
Yeah. I don't know if 3 is what they'll hold them to, because a lot of times when you play smaller schools like this, even though you're beating them so much, you're scoring so much, they're getting a lot of possessions. So I don't know if 3 is a little low to me, but I could see it becoming a scoring fest for Florida State. But you never know. Brad could be right. And
they better hope it is, to be honest with you. That's for sure.
All right, well, let's talk about UConn and Utah State.
All right, so, I'll tell you a few things about this game. So Utah State had a really good year last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went 11-3 last year, and they beat Oregon State in a bowl game.
Yeah.
At the end of the season last year.
Hey, Utah State sits around and says, there ain't no room for us. We're going to make room for real. Get out the way. We're here.
Yeah, they had a really good season and got a good coach, and should have the run in this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
UConn lost their coach, Randy Edsel, actually quit second or third game of the year last year. And they finished with an interim coach. Now I will give you a little bit of, so they got a first year head coach, and his name is Jim Mora Jr.
Yeah.
Football people might recognize his name. Jim Mora as junior actually has been around and coached in pro and college. And, so I expect Jim Mora Jr. to do something with that UConn team. I just don't really expect it to be his first game, but, I think that he can turn that program around. Jim Mora, his dad was a great coach, so with New Orleans, Colts.
Well, I will tell you something, man. I know Utah State's recruiting director, and she was with me at U of L, and she's a super nice lady. She has success everywhere she goes, just to cheer for the Bucks and whatnot. What they're building out there. I see what she does. I see stuff that she posts on Twitter, whatnot. They're building, they are, and I mean
they have a good.
They're building hard, and
Yeah,
she's working.
Hey,
have a good offense out
they
there.
got a good basketball team too.
Yeah, man. Utah
So
State's on
it's
the come.
everywhere.
I mean, I don't expect them to be Alabama in a year, nothing like that. But man, they're putting in some groundwork. They are.
Right. I'm going to pick Utah State in the game. I mean, I just don't see Jim Moore Jr. in his first game playing a team with the caliber that Utah State is, being able to hang in that game for very long.
All right, John, who you got?
I got Utah State. They returned 7 starters on offense. They returned 4 offensive lineman starters.
Yeah.
UConn's not been consistently good the last decade, and they've just not been really good. And now, like he said, Jim Mora will eventually, I believe he'll get it off the ground and running, but I don't think it'll be this year. But they will be competitive. I think they'll play hard. But Utah State is 27-point favorites. I mean, it's hard to go against what they've got and the firepower they got. So I'm going to go Utah State. I think they'll go over that point favorite spread. I think it'll be about 30. I don't see UConn competing in this game. I mean, with all the talent that the Aggies have.
I think you want to make the books in Vegas, don't you, buddy? All right. Well, tell me about New Mexico State and Nevada, Brad.
Well, this game's kind of interesting to me because New Mexico State's the home team, and Nevada's kind of heavily favored. So that's always, kind of interesting when the away team comes into another house and is kind of heavily favored. I mean, and by heavily favored, I mean 9 or 10 points on on the road. That's a pretty big spread on the road. So New Mexico State, they're the Aggies. Nevada's the Wolfpack, and Nevada is returning a lot more players than New Mexico State is, and I believe that's probably one of the. New Mexico State didn't have a real good season. Nevada was, in the mid pack last year, and I believe that's the reason why they're favored at New Mexico State. I'll probably go with the points and go with Nevada.
Okay. John, let me get this right. Didn't the coach at Nevada a long time ago invent the pistol? Am I slipping on that? I could be wrong, but I think Kaepernick was there when he did, or maybe a year or two before. But the pistol kind of got big and popular out in Nevada.
I believe it did, yeah. And they like to run a lot of different sets, and even when they had Kaepernick, they was really good. I think they went to a big bowl game. The biggest thing with this game, New Mexico State has lost 14 of 16 all time against Nevada, and I don't think that bodes well going into this game. No. And I just, and you know, the underdog. I just don't see them hanging with Nevada. It might be close for a couple of quarters, maybe,
Yeah.
but New Mexico State has just not been really good recently. I mean, you know, if you remember, they come to Kentucky and what the defense was just absolutely awful. Couldn't stop nobody. They was just, you know, it was a shootout, and
Don't
they
really
was a
matter where New Mexico State goes. They just ain't got the firepower, you
they
know?
just ain't got the firepower. Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain. Yeah. But I think Nevada wins this game. They'll cover the spread, in my opinion.
All
So
right.
one thing to add to this, they both actually have first year head coaches.
Yeah,
So
that makes a difference.
yeah, they both teams do. They have first year head coaches this time.
Somebody's gonna get their first win. We don't know who, but
Yeah.
somebody's gonna get their first win.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's keep it kind of out that way on the map. Tell me about UNLV, Idaho State.
UNLV and Idaho State. So, UNLV is a very heavy favorite in this game, to be honest with you.
And football?
They are in this game. Yeah, we're talking
Yeah.
about football. Yeah. You would think you would be the running Rebels, right?
Right.
The basketball running Rebels. Yeah. But they actually are heavily favored in this game. I looked up a few different ways to look at the line, the ESPN stuff that they do. They're 93% favored to win this game. The betting line has them as a pretty heavy favorite to win this game.
Yeah.
And Idaho State's a smaller school. I just don't see them coming into Las Vegas, with that big of a favorite and game. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with UNLV.
Right. Like no, like UNLV's got a basketball team, but I just surprised that they're gonna be blowing somebody out in football. It's good to see, you know. What do you think, John?
You know what's interesting is last year Idaho State was 1-10, and UNLV was 2-10, and they
Why?
won 3 combined games within each other.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to win Saturday. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody's going to win this game. And unfortunately, it's not going to be the Vandals. It's going to be the Running Rebels.
Yeah.
And I just don't see Idaho. They're in a first-year head coach. He's just now trying to rebuild that program. And a little quick tidbit: UNLV has former Tennessee transfer Harrison Bailey, so that's going to be a lot of fun out there. He's a really good quarterback, and I think he maybe work some magic out there in UNLV. So I got UNLV. I think it'll be a blowout, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're not allowed to add no little tidbits. That's Brad's thing. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our week 0 recap. And we'll be seeing you next time. A lot of you all aren't subscribed, so subscribe, share this video with a friend, like it, put it on Facebook, whatever you got to do, get more people to see it. Thank you. We'll be seeing you soon.